At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
What is it?
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Professor Chris G, and on the other line with me, appearing in his alternative form, because this is the very first enhanced episode, it's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. What would be my alternative form?
What would be your alternative? Emo? You would...
Oh, yes, with the bangs hanging down.
Yes.
I'd be one of those South Park kids. There you go.
Straight up, just like the South Park. You Butters with black hair.
Just sitting on the stoop, just smoking a cig.
Stan.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad we took time out of the podcast to figure this out. Not only took time, this is how we started the show.
I know. What would my alternative form be? Actually, don't answer that.
Okay.
I'm joking. What would it be? I'm curious now because our audience is going to want to know. What would my alternative be?
Honest to goodness, first thought was Black Ken doll.
Okay.
I could see you just, a little bit more muscle definition, bleach blonde hair, puka shell necklace.
What would you do? So for the past year and couple months, I've been growing out my hair and I have like a little afro now. What would you do if I dyed all of this bleach blonde or gold and you just saw me and I didn't tell you that I did it and you saw me for the first time and that's what my hair was?
I think I would hurt my neck from the double take I would have to do. Because, if you didn't tell me, if you didn't even drop a hint, hey, bro, next time you see me, I've got a surprise. And then you've just got this bleach blonde afro. I mean, and you got to do the combo platter with your facial hair as well.
Yeah. No, I would keep my facial hair black and do the bleach blonde hair.
Okay. Yeah, if you didn't tell me, I'd be like, oh, Chris is going back to the 70s.
That would be something.
That would be something. And the only reason I don't think you would do it would be because I think your wife would throw a fit. Or she would just outright just no.
Do you think if it was left up to me that I would do it?
I think if you were left to your own devices, I think you would do all kinds of stuff to your hair.
I probably would. To be completely honest, I probably would.
And
I wouldn't go the Dennis Rodman route, but I would definitely probably do some stuff.
No, because at the end of the day, that much peroxide coloring, that could do some serious lasting damage.
Yeah, it can. And it took too long to grow this out to freaking damage it.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I could see you experimenting with rose and do a kid and play flat top and.
I wouldn't do that because I would have to cut it and shape it, and I would not do the cube on my head because
I think you could rock the cube though if you wanted to.
Do the cube with the earrings and the necklace?
Yes.
Man, my wife would kill me. She would literally just look at me and just be like, wait until you fall asleep. What do you mean?
Wait until
I fall asleep. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Exactly.
And then I'll fall asleep, and she won't do nothing for like the first couple of days, and I'll think I'm safe. And then on the third night, I fall asleep, and all of a sudden you just hear zang. And I will. What did you do? Well, you got to cut it now. It looks stupid.
Yeah, she would do just enough that you couldn't like get it right back, and you'd have to like start over.
Joke's on you. I like it.
Yeah.
And just walk out. Oh, man. Yes, this is a Pokemon podcast, but this is why you love us, everyone, because we go off the cuff every now and then.
And this is one of those weeks where we have to do it. Otherwise, the episode would only be about 45 minutes long.
Yes, and that's not good for anybody. So, all right. So let's do a little bit of homework. So, I guess if you're on the Patreon, this will be the first episode that we're putting out post Pokemon the Movie 2000. If you're listening to this on the free feed, you've listened to... Ooh, bless you.
Thank you. I really tried to take my headphones off so it wouldn't... But...
You're good, man.
Okay.
But if you're listening to this on the free feed, you've listened to 4 other episodes before you got to this one. And... the homework is we've decided to take on Patreon, and this is our nice little plug, everybody, but it has to get done. We are now doing enhanced versions of our podcast, which will be including audio from the actual anime. So we're not going to go and just hammer it all down your throat like we did during the movie. But if you would like that enhanced experience and you like the way that we did it with the movie, go ahead and subscribe on patreon.com/everypokemon and become a Patreon, and you'll be able to listen to all these episodes. Now, going forward, I don't know how I'm going to do previous episodes. I might do them slowly, little by little, and then I'll just title them enhanced version. But going forward, for episodes after this one will be enhanced. So
yes.
So you'll be able to have that extra experience. I know we said during the movie that we're going to start it next month, and a month from the movie, and here we are. So there you go.
Here we are indeed.
So, and I don't want to take the credit for this one. My good pal, my best friend, my co-host, he's the one that came up with this idea. So Doug, is there anything that you would like to say to our lovely audience?
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my mother. I'd like to. No, I mean, I appreciate you giving me a shout for the idea, but it was literally just a thought that kind of fell out it had to have been during the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't clock it when I said it. Because, especially during a movie record, we talk so much.
3 days worth.
and exactly, that took 3 days, so we were dealing with that as well. So I'm going to volley the credit back to you because you were the one that caught it and said, hang on a minute, there might be something here. So, this is a collaborative effort. It's you, it's me, it's feedback from people that take time out of their day to write a review.
Yes.
It's everything. And I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that we provide the best listening experience for people that choose to click on an episode, or they click subscribe. And, you know, I feel like, you know, whether it's dropping in a theme song, if we're changing an arc, or a particular line, like we get on here and what about this line, you know, 10 minutes in and we both crack up about it for 5 minutes before we record, or or, you know, maybe something going forward, maybe as we're watching the episodes, maybe we jot down a line that stuck out to us and, you know, maybe we throw them in, or maybe, you know, we get lucky on an episode and we both come with the same line. It's like, okay, that's definitely going in.
Yes.
You know, maybe we could drop in the Who's That Pokemon for the episode. You know,
we can do that. I do like that, but for this season at least, the Who's That Pokemon is actually really quiet because it's just a magnifying glass.
Yeah, I was notifying. I was noticing that this week in particular, like there wasn't even a sound clip accompanying the Who's That Pokemon.
No,
it was just
it's this Pokemon.
And then Pikachu's like, Pika, back to the episode. And I'm like, okay, why'd you even break that?
So, and you know what? Well, I guess it still airs in Canada and all of that. And real quick, and I'll leave this in the podcast. Do you have any wind that's coming into my microphone?
No.
Oh, okay. Good. Because there is a fan on in this room, and the fan's hitting me extra hard, and I was making sure it wasn't coming through the feed. Which is
no, I'm good. I mean, you can listen back to yours, and if you hear it on yours, then I'm just going deaf, which is going to be an interesting podcast going forward.
The first podcast done with someone that is deaf.
Or going deaf. I mean, let's not, you know.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so.
That would be an interesting podcast to go through.
Yeah, especially if the person that's going deaf doesn't realize it, and they just think they're not hearing. Yeah, it becomes your fault because you're not coming through clear enough.
What? How did Brock do it this week? And I'm gonna start this podcast. What? And I'm gonna talk about Pokemon. What? and I'm gonna cash that check. What?
What?
And Doug is gonna cash that check. What?
What?
And then they're gonna fight. What? Wait a minute. Wait, they're gonna fight? Yes, everybody. Me and Doug, 1-on-1, just like Jake Paul is doing these days. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get paid just as much.
Yes. What?
Yeah.
Oh man. If only. So.
Yeah, so we really didn't like this episode, huh?
No, we didn't. We never go off the rails like this. But okay. All right. So everybody, today's episode is called The Tale of You and Glimwood Tangle, or translated from the Japanese title, The Tale of You and Me in Luminous Maze Forest. I like the Japanese one better.
Kind of, yeah. It kind of gives it a little bit more oomph.
Yes. So I'm going to go with that one this week. That is my winner. But outside of that, this weekend, or not weekend, wow, we talk for a living. This episode, we are going over the Galarian version of Ponyta, everybody. So Ponyta is coming into the episode for the first time in its Galarian form, and Go wants this Pokemon, and so does everybody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you have anything to add before we go into this episode?
This episode frustrated me on a number of levels, and because eagle-eared listeners of this podcast will know that I've kind of been tracking the last couple episodes because Chloe's just kind of been MIA without explanation.
Yeah.
And this episode starts and she's back. And it's not like, oh, I was visiting grandma for a couple weeks, or I was, doing this or that. It's like, oh, she's just home. Fuck.
And that bothers you.
That bothers me because it's like the Pokemon anime formula is our hero Ash and his two interchangeable traveling partners.
And it's always Go and Ash.
And it's Go and Ash, and it's just, it's not like, it's like I say, it's not like Chloe's last episode. She's like, I've got to go, stay on this island because I'm going to help do research at this lab, or I'm going to go hunt this wild Pokemon, or I'm going to go, me and Eevee are going to go on a wilderness retreat. She was just gone, and now she's just back, and it's like, what do you mean? She was always here. She was just in the background. Bullshit.
So, all right. But are you ready to get on into this episode?
I was born ready.
You were born ready.
I was born ready. I knew one day we were going to get to Master Journeys and we were going to get to this episode. And I said, gosh darn it, I'm going to be prepared.
Yeah. Damn it, you are. You do sound like your alternative form today.
Yeah. Nothing matters. It's all bullshit.
So, all right, everybody. So I'll go ahead and start. And we start this episode like we start every episode. This is the best part of the episode this week because we get to talk about Ash. And Ash wants to fight Leon and Go. Go wants to capture every Pokemon, including Mew. And both of these guys are about to embark on an adventure that is going to last a lifetime. And we start the episode with Chloe entering her home, and there's Yamper. And Yamper is sitting there waiting for her like a good little puppy. And she goes over and she pets Yamper on the head and goes, oh, Yamper, I know who you're waiting for. Say hi, Eevee. And Eevee comes out, and Yamper and Eevee just start playing with each other. And they look so cute. And it's from here that the professor, her father, notices that Chloe is back. And he's like, so what are you going to do right now? And she's like, I think I'm going to go and read a good book.
Welcome back, Chloe. It won't be long until I'm finished for the day.
Okay. And I'll just go to your office and read a book.
Good.
And she's like, I wonder what book I'm going to read. And so she goes in and she starts looking through some books and she finds a red book because it falls off the shelf. And when it falls, it lands on a page that talks about Ponyta and Rapidash, but they don't look like your stereotypical Ponyta and Rapidash. And Chloe is like, oh, look at that. They're so pretty. And Eevee is looking at it, and Chloe starts daydreaming, and she's looking around, and she notices in her dream, she's like having a vision that Rapidash is hurt. And that Ponyta is right next to Rapidash, and Ponyta is sad. So, and then all of a sudden, we snap back, and Chloe's like, "Huh?" And Eevee's like, "What's going on here?" And Chloe picks up the book, and she reads the title, and the title is the title of this episode.
Tale of You and Glimwood Tangle.
And we jump straight from that into the theme song, bro.
Oh, yeah. I didn't put this together when I was first watching it. So Chloe picks up the book, and it's the title of the episode, right?
Yes.
Then we go right into the theme song. And then outside of the lyrics of the theme song, the next words we hear spoken are Ash saying the title of the episode that Chloe just said.
Yes.
The fuck are we doing?
We're drilling it into your head because it's a kid's show.
Jiminy Cricket.
So that,
oh yeah, we get the title of the episode, and then we come out of the theme song, and we're in the professor's office, and Chloe is asking her dad about the book that she found in his library.
Yes.
And she's like, could you tell me a little about these Pokemon? And that's when her dad's like, oh, they're in their Galarian forms. And one of the assistants like, you're thinking of the ones from the Kanto region, and he brings up a little screenshot of a Rapidash and a Ponyta, and goes like, what do you mean? They look different. You mean there's different, versions from the ones we have in Galar? And he's he has his Pokédex, and he's scanning it over the assistant's computer.
Ponyta, Galarian form, the unique horn Pokemon, a psychic type. There is a healing power hidden within its small horn. Ponyta can also treat wounds by using Heal Pulse. Rapidash, Galarian form, the unique horn Pokemon, a psychic and fairy type, and Ponyta's evolved form. Fearless and proud, Rapidash uses psychic power stored in the flowing fur above its hooves to dash through the forest with ease.
Ponyta and Rapidash.
That's unusual. You're asking about a Pokemon.
Or the professor's like, oh, you're showing interest in Pokemon without me having to kind of prompt you, kind of way to get off your ass kind of thing, which is rude.
I didn't take it that way.
Oh, there's the only way you could take it. And Chloe's like, well, it was interesting. I wanted to find out more, which is something you should encourage. You shouldn't. I mean, and I think you're right. It was probably just like a good-natured ribbing, but it was still kind of like, look at the girl showing interest in Pokemon. But I know, it comes from a
good
place. It comes from a place of fatherly love.
Yes.
And Chloe's like, I'd really like to learn more about them myself. And goes like, yeah, and I want to catch them. And
just his MO.
Jiminy Cricket. And
let's go so I can catch this Pokemon.
And the professor's like, that's a good idea. It'll get you out of my hair for an afternoon. And so they, with no real explanation, like, oh, they're in such and such a forest. They're just in the forest.
Yes.
Or they're in the Glimwood Tangle. Like, they're just there. It's not like, oh, this is how you get there. It's located near this. It's just they're there.
They're here. So we walk in. They're walking into this forest, and the narrator is back. It's really weird to hear the narrator in the middle of an episode.
Right.
But the narrator is back, and he's like, they are now in Glimwood Tangle in the Galar region. And they're looking around, and they're looking at all the glowing mushrooms. And Ash is like, wow, it's like it's nighttime.
Oh, boy.
And he's looking around, and Go is like, man, this is a good place to test your courage. And Chloe, just unprovoked, okay, let's go so we can find this Ponyta. And as we're focusing on Eevee just walking on the ground, oh man, I stopped the screen grab at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and Eevee literally walks into one of the mushrooms and just face plants, just boom, and flies back. And when it hits it, the mushroom starts to glow a really bright color. And then Ash is like, whoa, it's glowing. And then Ash goes and touches on a mushroom that's standing right next to him. And that one starts to glow. And they notice that when they touch the mushrooms give off light. And Chloe's like, according to my dad's book, both Ponyta and Rapidash tend to live hidden deep within this forest. And they're hardly ever seen at all. And in the background, you see Pikachu and Eevee just having a good old time on top of these mushrooms, just bouncing back and forth like you do on one of those kid things at the park where it's like either a dinosaur or a cat or a dog, and it has a little slinky at the bottom and you're just riding it back and forth. That's literally how they were riding these mushrooms.
Right.
And Chloe continues, she's like, it says they've been bathed in the mysterious energy of the forest for generations, and that's what turns them into the unique forms that they are today. And Ash is like, wow, that gets me so psyched. Me too, Go-Go's. And he's like, since they're hardly ever seen, I want to catch it even more. And Ash is like, man, all right, let's go. And I'm going to steal your line from the movie. Cars, Pokemon, muscles.
No women yet, just, because, they're only 10, but it's coming.
I know. Ash is like, let's go, quick. And Pikachu jumps off of the mushroom and just starts walking on the ground. And Pikachu runs into a Pokemon. And this Pokemon has 3 little itty bitty mushrooms growing on top of its head. And Ash and Go are like, whoa, what is that Pokemon? And of course, Go has his Pokédex ready, and the Pokédex goes, Morlo, the emulating Pokemon. A grass and fairy type, Morlo flickers with light. It puts its enemies to sleep by spreading its spores. And Morlo is just looking all sorts of terrified and just sneezes. And Ash and Go just bounce back. They're like, I don't want to go to sleep. And then all of a sudden, Morlo just starts jumping down the forest and hopping away from them. And Ash, Pikachu, and Go are like, wait a minute, come back! And Go's like, I want to catch you! Leaving Eevee and Chloe behind. And Chloe just has a stoic look on her face like, did they really just run off and just leave me alone?
Just blank white eyes, just...
And Eevee jumps off of Chloe's head, and Chloe's like, wait a minute, what's going on, Eevee? And Chloe turns around and she sees a very, very tiny Galarian Ponyta standing on top of a large mushroom. And Chloe's like, oh my gosh, it's Ponyta. And then Ponyta jumps off the mushroom onto another mushroom and onto the ground and starts running away. And Eevee just starts taking off. And Chloe's like, wait a minute, stop, Eevee. And she's looking back for Ash and Go. And she's like, if I don't go, I'm not going to be able to really see this Pokemon. So she starts running in the opposite direction than Ash, Go, and Pikachu. And then we jump back to Ash, Go, and Pikachu, and they are chasing this Morlo. And Go, out of nowhere, for no reason but to stop this Morlo, throws out Cinderace.
Cinderace! Cinderace! Pokeball, go!
Morlo has been registered to your Pokédex.
Hooray! That's awesome, Go! Hold on. Where are Chloe and Eevee? Where did they run off to?
they're kind of looking around, kind of doing the half-hearted shit. Like, I wonder where they went. And then we cut back to Ponyta is jumping between mushrooms and just kind of navigating the forest with ease. And Eevee is trying to keep up with his stubby legs. And Chloe is trying to keep up with Eevee, who's trying to keep up with Ponyta. And then Ponyta has stopped at the edge of this cliff, and then all of a sudden it just jumps down and it disappears, and Eevee doesn't even break stride. It's like, well, I'm a Pokemon, so worst case scenario, I hit the ground, I keep running. And there's like vegetation sticking out of the cliffside, so they're just kind of hopping down that path. And, you know, again, not breaking stride because they're Pokemon. And Chloe's kind of sitting there going, how the fuck am I supposed to... and she's kind of sitting there and she's like, what do I do? And then she's like, screw it. And she just climbs down and she lands on a mushroom and she gets down. And then she sees that Eevee has stopped. So she clocks where Eevee is. And then we look and we see that Ponyta has stopped under a glowing leaf, and then Ponyta walks to the side, and we see Rapidash is down on the ground, much like the picture in the book. And then we pan down a little further, and we see that one of Rapidash's front legs is wounded.
Are you okay? Do you want me to help Rapidash? It looks like it might be using Heal Pulse. That wound is much too big for your healing powers, Ponyta.
This is some bullshit for 6 minutes into the episode, almost 7, because Ponyta kind of has a moment with Chloe where she kind of looks up and goes, please help. It's like, well, goddamn.
Well,
and
I have a problem with this, and it's only because I'm noticing this now. Did we not see Ponyta was a very, very, very tiny Ponyta not even 2 minutes ago?
At least it looked like that from our perspective, yeah.
And then now we're looking at Ponyta right next to Rapidash, right next to Chloe, and they're like the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something got lost in maybe not the transfer, but something got lost in the creation there.
Okay.
Like,
so I'm just throwing that out there. Like, normally I don't like to call Pokemon out because I love this show and so do you, but it's just something got lost in translation when drawing these Pokemon.
Yeah.
So, all right, you can continue, bro.
So, Chloe walks over and she goes to Ponyta. She's like, you want me to help, you want me to help Rapidash. That's why you saw us and you had us kind of chase you. And we see Ponyta try to use Heal Pulse on Rapidash's wound, and we see that it's not affected. And Ponyta is kind of like, well, shit, that's all I have. And Chloe's kind of like, well, your power wasn't that effective because you're just one little Ponyta. And she didn't mean it like as an insult. It's just kind of the facts. And she's kind of looking up the cliff, and she's like, I wonder if she slipped and fell in this ravine. And Chloe kind of has an epiphany. She's like, I got it. And Ponyta kind of cocks its head, and she sets her pack down, and she's got the book, which is smart, quite frankly. I mean, as much as I want to nitpick at this episode because I didn't really have fun watching it, Ash wouldn't have brought the book with him.
No.
Ash would have been sitting there going, I think I saw in the book that I left on my bed. And she's like, the book says that a Rapidash can heal its wounds with nectar that can be found deep in the forest. And she's, thumbing through pages. And she's like, if I find the nectar and you drink it, you'll feel better. And she holds out the book with a picture of a multicolored flower. And she's like, I'll go and I'll find it and I'll come back and, we'll get Ponyta back to good as new, or Rapidash back to good as new. Ponyta's like, bet, and she kind of takes off, and Chloe's like, Ponyta, you want to be my guide? And I'm sitting there going, well, no shit, you haven't really been here. You know how easy it would be to get lost in freaking strange dark woods? And Ponyta's like, you better follow me. And she kind of turns to Rapidash, and she's like, we'll be right back. I'm sitting there going, well, Rapidash isn't going anywhere.
Rapidash.
So they take off, and we have a shot of Rapidash closing its eye. And we cut back, and Ash and Go are basically playing Ollie Ollie Oxenfree with Chloe. Like, where are you? We're looking, but we're not looking. And
we're trying to capture all these Pokemon and just hoping that we run into you.
Yeah, we're hoping for a happy accident.
Go caught a Morlul, and I need to catch one now.
I haven't caught a Pokemon in a couple episodes. I'm kind of jonesing. Even though I don't know what to do with it half the time.
Attempting connection.
Chloe! Where are
Attempting
you?
connection. Attempting
She's not answering.
Attempting connection.
Well, Evie's with her, so I think that she's gonna be alright. When we were at summer camp, Chloe was never afraid of anything at all. Wow, really? That girl's got more courage than you can imagine. There'll be no problem as long as we find her before dark. Although, it's getting dark already. Feels like rain. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. Go. Over there. Huh? Weird. Why is it lit up?
But as they're walking, Go is trying to use his Rotom phone, which for whatever reason has no reception now. It just had reception just a second ago when you needed the Pokedex on Morlul, but now...
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But now it has no reception.
Son of a bitch.
See, it's a good show.
I didn't even put that together watching the episode.
So, all right, but Go is like, whatever. I'm sure Chloe will be all right. She's tough. And they're looking around, and he's like, Chloe was never afraid of anything at all when we were growing up. And Ash is like, really? He's like, that girl has more courage than you can imagine. That'll be no problem, or there'll be no problem as long as we can find her before dark. And Go is like, but it's getting dark already. Which, okay, all right. I'm just gonna throw this out there, and maybe I'm missing something, and maybe you need to point it out to me. So when they entered this forest, Ash made a comment saying it's like it's nighttime,
right?
Which gives the illusion that the forest is so dense that you can't see any light outside of this forest.
Correct.
How would they know that it's getting dark? Unless their I guess their cell phone can still time.
I was going to say that would be my only cheat. Would be they could tell time on the Rotom phone.
Okay,
but that would be my only cheat.
So yeah, I guess. I mean, we are living in the modern day in Pokemon, so I guess they can still tell time. So
there you go.
So there you go. That's how we simplify things. Okay. But Pikachu starts feeling a raindrop on its head, and it starts to rain. And Cinderace is just, I mean, fire Pokemon and all. I mean, these Pokemon have just evolved crazily because Cinderace is just walking in the rain like it's nothing. It's raining. Even though I'm a fire Pokemon, this doesn't hurt me.
No, not even a little bit.
And they look off into the distance, and they see something glowing, and it's glowing like a gold light. And Ash and Go start running over there, and it's a little village. And they go and they start drying themselves off, sitting underneath a tree that has a really, really big mushroom on top of it. And Go is like, man, I really hope that Chloe's able to find this place. And then all of a sudden you hear, hey, you two. And they look up and they're like, you're really lacking the color pink. And Pikachu, Go, Ash, and Cinderace just jump up in fear. They're like, oh my gosh. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse us. Good afternoon, ma'am. And they're like, we've been looking for a friend of ours. By any chance, have you seen a girl with an Eevee? And I love Cinderace's face as they're talking, because Cinderace is like, I don't trust this woman whatsoever. Put me back in my Pokeball. Oh man, if you guys could take a look, this might be the snippet that I use for this episode, because this is just priceless. Like, Cinderace just has no chill. He's just like, I do not trust this woman at all. But the lady answers, she's like, I will only answer if you respond correctly to my quiz. And Go and Ash are like, okay.
I will answer only if you correctly respond to my quiz. Question: what is my very favorite color? First choice, pink. Second, purple.
And Go and Ash are looking at each other, and they're like, oh, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? She did mention that we didn't have enough pink, so that means we're going to go with pink. And the lady's like, wrong. The right answer is purple. And they're like, I want pink on others, but not necessarily on myself. And they're like, oh man, we're going to lose this. And she goes, all right, next question. Ash is like, there's more than one? Well, you got that one wrong, so I would hope there was more than one. And
for real.
Question: what is my age? First choice, 16. Second, 88.
And Go and Ash are like, oh, I don't know. We're going to go with number 2. You're 88. And the lady, we get a close-up of her eye, and she just squints and is like, man, these kids. She's like, wrong again. And she's like, factually, you are correct, but your skills of showing tech are failing. So you two do not have enough pink in your hearts whatsoever. And they're both like, oh man, we're so sorry. And Pikachu's like, you know what? This is going to take all day. I'm going to go and take a nap. So
yeah, Pikachu's like, I'm no good here, so I'm just gonna hang back.
All right, so bro, I'm going to hand this part of the scene over to you.
So she holds up a pink t-shirt, and she's like, I want you to both put this on. And they freak out. They're like, oh my God, what do we? So, and I really hope that I'm reading too much into this, but my first reaction was they're reacting like that because we don't wear pink. We're boys, and that's a girl's color. And I really hope they're just like, we don't want to put on a strange shirt.
Well, okay. And hear me out. You know what? I'm gonna keep my comment to myself. I'm going to keep my comment to myself. But maybe this was translated this way from Japan, and maybe they sweetened the pot here. So, all right, you can continue, bro.
That's fair. So then we cut from that, and we are looking. We're back with Chloe and Eevee and Ponyta, and she's trying to call Go, and once again, she can't get a signal either, which would track with the fact that Go couldn't get a signal, but like you said, it wouldn't track as to why the fucking Rotom phone worked identifying the Pokemon that Go caught, and I'm blanking on his the Morlo.
Yeah, okay. You know what? I have a solution. Maybe, and I'm just gonna spitball this. So maybe if this happens in a future episode, we can justify it. Maybe, the Rotom phone has all the Pokemon already inside of it as a dictionary. So when they scan the Pokemon, it can be used in offline mode. So even if they lose reception, they can still tell what Pokemon is right in front of them.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
I'll buy that for $1. I'll buy that.
All right. You can continue, brother.
So yeah, we're back. Chloe can't find a signal. She's like, I'm sure, Ash and Go are worried sick. And Ponyta's like, yeah, I have no idea who that is. And they're like, the rain stopped. Because they're kind of standing under like a mushroom, like a giant-ass mushroom thing. And the mushroom starts to kind of glow and give off some spores, and the music's picking up, and Chloe's like, all right, it's about time to get back at it. And friggin' Ponyta just hop up the freaking vegetation, and Eevee follows suit, but doesn't stick the landing on the cliff and falls, but bounces off of one of the, lily pads, and just lands right on Chloe. And Eevee's kind of got this look on his face like, what the fuck just happened? And then, gets back up because you're not going to get me down twice. And we see Eevee struggle, but she gets up there, and then Ponyta's like, all right, we got to go this way. And we kind of see that it's the climb took a heck of a lot out of Chloe, and Eevee's just about out of it. And Chloe's like, maybe we should take a little bit of a break. And Eevee's like, I could go for a break. I almost died. You saw that, right? I almost died. And Chloe pours a bit of some water into a mug, and Eevee's drinking, and Ponyta comes over, and Chloe's like, oh, does Ponyta want some as well? And it kind of takes a bend, and it uses Heal Pulse on Eevee, and Eevee's back leg is good as new, and Eevee kind of looks back like, check out that shit.
That was pretty cool.
And she kind of stands up on her hind legs, and it's like, all right, I could, I'm good for another, 1,000 miles. And Chloe's like, oh, thank you so much for being generous, Ponyta. And then he's, her kind of starts to kind of get raised, and its tail starts to glow, and then Eevee turns around and uses Heal Pulse on, because Chloe has a bit of a scrape on her arm from A, getting Eevee knocked into her, and B, the climb. And Chloe's kind of looking like, did you just use Heal Pulse on me? And Eevee's like, I think so.
Which is pretty cool that Eevee's picking up all these traits, right?
Yes, and this is, I think, one instance where, and say what you will about Ash's overuse of, Dexter or Rotom Phone or whatever. But I think Ash would have pulled, and obviously you could make the argument, well, he wouldn't get reception, because that, even if we take your theory about being able to identify Pokemon without having a solid connection, you would think that they would need a connection to actually get like a factoid.
Yeah.
So, Chloe couldn't exactly pull out her Rotom Phone and figure out that, Eevee has move transference, or Eevee can pick that up because it's somewhat psychic or whatever the heck. Is it ever? Is this particular instance ever explained?
It is in a later episode. So Eevee does get another couple episodes on this journey with Chloe during this series. So I don't want to ruin that, but essentially, Eevee is able to transform it or able to evolve into many different types of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that it can't tap into those powers early. In a way.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, okay.
So yes, Eevee is very proud of itself because it's helping. It's not just, an innocent little Eevee. And then from in the bush we see three eyes. And your initial thought is, oh shit, Team Rocket found their way in the forest. And so Ponyta and Eevee and Chloe are just kind of walking along, and then they stop, and Ponyta looks up, and Chloe sees where Ponyta is looking, and Chloe's like, we're close. And they take a step, and then all of a sudden, 3 Pokemon jump out of the bush, and they look like little
goblins.
Little pink devils. Goblins, there you go. That's fucking perfect. And they're just Impidimps, there you go. And then we get the Who's That Pokemon, and it's just a close-up of a horn, and by God, if that's not Ponyta, I fucking quit. And
it's
Who's
Pikachu!
That Pokemon?
Fuck!
It's It's Squirtle.
Have you seen those videos?
Yeah.
I love those videos. Who's that Pokemon? It's Pikachu! It's Squirtle! Fuck! and I'm sorry for cursing. I know we don't curse that much, but if you haven't seen those videos, you need to go and find those videos. Those videos are hilarious.
Yeah. So Chloe pulls out her Rotom Phone as we're back into the episode from the Who's That Pokemon, and we find out that it's Impidimps.
See, and it's telling the Pokemon it's in offline mode.
Yeah, you're right.
It has to be offline mode.
Has to be. Otherwise, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, for real.
You guys are thinking way too much into this. It's just one little scene in a kid's show. It matters.
It does matter.
Impidimp, the wily Pokemon, a dark and fairy type. Impidimp's nose sucks up negative energy from people who are angry or annoyed with its pranks, giving it health and energy.
Seriously? Pokemon who play pranks?
Who was that Pokemon in Detective Pikachu at the beginning of the movie that played a prank on the main character? Those were what were they? Ape-bombs?
Yeah.
Yes, ape-bombs. Okay. So they're
little
monkeys.
Little purple monkeys with big ears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like them.
So, so I like this design, but they could have easily been Pokemon troll dolls, and nobody would have batted an eye.
Yes.
They're literally trolls. If they get energy from people being pissed off from their pranks,
they throw a fit.
They throw a fit. So, Chloe is just, she's over it. She's like, seriously? Pokemon who play pranks, really? I've got a hurt Galarian Rapidash waiting on a certain nectar, and these motherfuckers want to put me on their YouTube channel. I mean, she's just over it, and the Impidimps are like, yeah, that's what we do. We're here to fuck shit up. We're not gonna really do any damage, but we're gonna inconvenience you. And we find out that they've stolen her canteen, or her water bottle, and her backpack. And she's like, those are mine. And then Eevee's like, I'll get you. And the freaking Impidimps are playing freaking keep away. And poor Eevee.
I know, right?
Poor Eevee, she gets so dizzy, and she has the Pokemon dead eyes. And the Impidimps are like, yeah, we got you. We fucked that shit. And we get a really cute drawing of Chloe and the Impidimps in like a chibi kind of animation style. Like, Chloe looks straight up like a 5-year-old. And she's like, give me my stuff back. And then she freaking falls down like a Team Rocket style trap. And she climbs out. And she's like, why wouldn't you just want to be nice for a change? And one of the Impidimps takes a drink out of her bottle and passes it to the next guy and passes it to the next guy. And then they freaking spit water in Chloe, Ponyta, and Eevee's face. Like, yeah, we're just assholes. And we're back for the leaf with Rapidash. Because Rapidash can kind of sense the energy is shifting. Because I'm sure there's a bond between it and Ponyta, and I'm fucked with right now. And
what about the berries that they throw?
For real. And then Chloe's sitting there like, we don't have time for this shit. And Eevee goes back in there. He's like, listen here, motherfucker. And the Impidimps are like, all right, ready? On 3. And they kind of give each other a look, and then they basically give Eevee the la 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 face. And Eevee's like, oh, you sons of bitches. And it does it back to him. And the freaking Impidimps huddle, and they're like, we didn't expect that. How do we counter that? And they run up a tree. And Eevee's like, now what? And they just friggin' hurl of
berries,
a bunch of blackberries. I mean, they come out purple, so they could be grapes for all I fucking know.
I think they are grapes.
And it just splatters all over Eevee. And Eevee shakes it off. Like, all right, that's it. Charges up the tree. Gets its own bushel. And uses its tail to chuck it at the Impidimp in the center. And then that pisses off the other two, because then they get it. And Eevee's snickering, because it's like, yeah, I got you. Got you at your own game. And then Eevee gets it again. So they're just... So they just spend a couple seconds just hucking fruit at each other. And freaking Chloe has a very Ash Ketchum take of, well, it looks like they're having fun.
So let's have some fun with them.
Aren't you on a fucking fetch quest? Like,
well, she is 10 or 11 too.
I understand, but God damn it, read the room. And then Chloe kind of has another epiphany. She's having a lot of epiphanies this episode.
Yes, she is.
She's like, is it possible that the Imp and Imp are really just wanting to play with us? And freaking Chloe and Ponyta catch another bunch of grapes to the face. And like, oh, you've asked for it now. So then, you know, the Imp and Imps come down, and then you just start hucking fruit. And I mean, it's just freaking chaos. And Eevee catches one and lands square on its head, and Ponyta uses its back legs to buck a couple. And I mean, it's all out food fight. And I mean, they're just, you know, deflecting and throwing, and we do a time wipe.
So and the Imp and Imps are just sitting on the ground because all they wanted was just to have some fun.
Yeah, get some energy burnt off.
So they're on the ground, they're huffing and puffing, and it's at this point that one of the Imp and Imps literally looks over and is like, okay, you can have your bag back. And Chloe's like, she's taking it back. She's like, oh, you're gonna give it to me. Thank you. And the Imp and Imps look at each other and they're like, all right, that was all the fun we needed. And then they just start running down the forest again. Then they turn back and they kind of give a thank you to Chloe. And then they just start running down the forest again. So it's at this point that Chloe's like, okay, we got to hurry up and get back to Rapidash. And Ponyta's like, yeah, my mom is hurt. So I feel like we did a big jump from what was originally put in this episode to, oh my gosh, we don't have that much time anymore, because we literally jump back down and they're right next to Rapidash. And Chloe is pouring the drink for Rapidash. And she's like, Rapidash, drink this. And Rapidash sits up and it looks over at the drink and it grunts. And Rapidash is like, all right, fine. And it starts drinking the drink. And Eevee is looking on. Ponyta is looking on. Chloe's looking on. It's a big dramatic moment. And Rapidash starts slowly getting its strength back, and then it starts to glow a rainbow color, and you see the swollen leg is no longer swollen anymore, and it's healing itself. And Chloe's like, oh my gosh, it worked. And Rapidash starts getting to its feet, and Rapidash still doesn't have all of his strength back.
Your wound is healed, but you can't stand. Have you used up your strength?
But it's at this point that Ponyta starts using its horn on Rapidash so it can heal up whatever else is still hurting inside of Rapidash. And then here goes Eevee. And Eevee starts using its ears and is using some type of heal power in itself to help Rapidash as well. And Rapidash is sitting there. And Chloe's like, great, you two, give it your best. And they're healing, and they're healing, and they're healing. And Rapidash starts to get to his feet. And Rapidash does a nice little, and it looks up, and Chloe's like, oh my gosh, Rapidash, you are so cool. Ponyta's happy. Eevee's happy. And Chloe's like, that's wonderful. And Rapidash goes and puts Chloe on its back and is like, all right, I'm going to get you back to your friends. And Eevee jumps onto the back of Ponyta. That's so cute.
That was cute.
And they just ride off in the forest and they start jumping out of this hole that Rapidash is in. And they start racing through the forest and they're racing and they're racing and they're racing. And Eevee's looking over at Chloe and Chloe's looking back at Eevee and they're looking behind them because they're noticing that rainbow shards are flying off of both Ponyta and Rapidash as they're racing. And they're like, oh man, that's so pretty. And they're just racing and they're racing and they're racing. And then we're back to the old lady with Ash and Go. And her name is Opal, everybody. And she is from the Pokemon Sword and Shield video game. And she's sitting here and she's like, all right, next question. And Ash and Go are like, he's like, just how long is this quiz supposed to go on for? And Ash is like, sorry, buddy. And Pikachu looks... I just noticed what Pikachu's wearing. Pikachu is wearing pink sunglasses and a really cool hoodie. I want this Pikachu in my game. I want to be able to capture this Pikachu.
For real.
But Cinderace is even better. Cinderace has a headband, a hoodie, a pink shirt, some pink shorts, just looking all sorts of damper. And
into it.
And the lady's like, this question is the last one. Who are the ones approaching from over there? And we look over and there's Chloe and there's Eevee. And they're walking on Ponyta and Rapidash. And they're like, oh my gosh, wow, they're on Ponyta and Rapidash. And Opal is like, I need to compliment their arrival. Just all sorts of majestic, just walking up. Chloe gets off of Rapidash and thanks Rapidash for the ride. And Go and Ash run up because they want to see Rapidash and Ponyta, and they're like, nope.
This is so fucking dumb.
And they just run away. And I'm going to have you go and end this episode this week, brother.
All right. Well, I just broke my elbow, but that's okay. So, yeah, they bail, and Chloe's like, you can't, friggin' just run up big dick swinging like that. And she has a moment, and she's like, I'm glad you're all okay. And Ash immediately was like, what was it like being on Rapidash? It was crazy, right? It was awesome. It was, because I'm sure in his head, he still remembers, being down on the dude ranch and, yee-haw, yippee-whippy, all that stuff. And, he's like, and he's got like stars in his eyes. And Chloe's like, yeah, it was pretty cool, I guess. And Ash is like, I fucking knew it. Isn't that the good shit? And Go is like, it's cool that you were able to make friends with them. And she kind of turns back. She's like, I hope we can meet again soon. And then, we pan up to the starry sky. And then we come back to what I'm going to... And see, this is where you and I are going to have a disagreement. Because I think you and I already had a bit of a disagreement. And this is about as good a time as any to say this is the last episode because I won't sit here. No, I'm kidding. And we see that Chloe and Eevee have fallen asleep reading the book. And Chloe's kind of sitting there like, what happened? And Eevee's like, if you fell asleep, I fell asleep. And there's a knock at the door, and it's Go. And she's like, I'm in here. And they open the door, and Ash is like, the professor said he's done with work. And Chloe's like, all right, good shit. And Eevee comes out, and who are we met with but Morel?
Yeah.
The very same that Go caught in the forest. So my argument was the episode we just watched was in Chloe's dream.
So
But your argument is, how does Go have that Pokemon?
So you think he caught that Pokemon outside of the forest?
I think he did. Or he caught it on a separate trip and we just happened to be seeing it.
Okay. I could fuck with that.
So, you know, they go walking off. And Chloe's kind of looking back, and she shut the door, and she didn't even put the book back.
No, not at all.
Considerate.
But that's the end of the episode. So, what did you think of this episode after reviewing it, Doug?
Well, I mean, what do I always say on iffy episodes? I always have a great time reviewing them with you. Because, you know, you and I can crack jokes and we can make each other laugh, but watching this to get it watched, so I'm not coming in completely blind on the review, I did not have fun watching this episode. Because I couldn't get past the whole, did we just watch a dream for 15 minutes?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Watching this by yourself, it's probably not the best, but if you could watch this with a partner or a friend or anyone that you could watch this with and you can have fun making fun of this episode, I think you'll enjoy this episode even more.
Yeah.
So, is that safe to say, Doug?
You just hit the nail on the head, 100%.
So, let's go ahead and for the first time in every Pokemon episode ever history, we're going to give 2 ratings, Doug. So, what would you rate this watching it by yourself?
A 1.
Okay, I'm going to go with 2, only because there were so many new Pokemon that we learned about. Now, watching this with a friend, what would you give this?
2.5.
I'll give it a 3. You caught me off guard. I was not expecting that. So, all right, everybody. Well, we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed reviewing it for you. And for those on Patreon, we hope that you liked your enhanced version of this episode as well. So, this is the ending plug for this episode right before we say goodbye. But if you haven't already, go ahead and go over to patreon.com/everypokemon to get the enhanced version of your podcast every week. And if you're listening to this on the free feed, that means that there's at least 3 or 4 episodes ahead with enhanced versions that you can go ahead and listen to starting today, everybody. So go ahead and go on over to patreon.com/everypokemon to get that enhanced experience. Doug?
Not to mention full versions of movies that you may have only listened to half of.
Yes. So if you only listened to the free feed of Detective Pikachu, go and listen to the version online. And you know what? And I don't know how you feel. So originally during the movie, me and you chose to do the Pokemon 3 the movie as our Thanksgiving/Christmas holiday movie. I don't know, so, and I'm not going to be quoted by saying that I'm going to, but I might go back and take the Detective Pikachu movie on the Patreon and give that an enhanced experience.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, I think that
could be real fun, because there were some really good lines from Pikachu, especially.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that I'm 100% doing that, everybody, but there's a good chance that not only will you get Pokemon 3, the movie, but I might actually throw in an extra as an enhanced version of the Detective Pikachu podcast, and you might get 2. You might, but you won't know unless you subscribe. So go ahead and go on over. And just so everyone knows, you still get that free trial, everybody, if you go over and subscribe for the first time with a brand new email address, all that good jazz and everything. So go ahead and subscribe over on patreon.com/everypokemon to get that enhanced experience. But do you have anything else to add at the end of this podcast, Doug?
I don't think so. Just, if you think you would enjoy the enhanced editions of these episodes, think about giving Patreon a shout. We would appreciate it. It helps us bring better content to you, the listeners.
It really does. Whether you guys believe it or not, it really does help keep the lights on over here. So just go ahead and subscribe. Every penny counts. So, and
I'm a little jealous of the listeners of this fine podcast because there's a great possibility that their first experience with this episode could be synced up with us reviewing this episode, which would make it like 10 times better than mine. So, be thankful that this episode is like the first like proper episode that's going to get only released like as an enhanced version in terms of Patreon, that is.
Yeah.
Because and I mean, I made the comment before we got on here that maybe it was good that we kind of had kind of a mid-level episode coming off of the movie because we didn't want to get thrown right into the fire. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good because next week is a really good episode, and I'm gonna say that right off the bat. I remember watching that as the Japanese version, and I'm really excited to watch the American version and see how it translates. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and get that down, and also in 2 weeks it is time for our next Poke Break. So I'm excited for doing that as well. So you will be getting another Poke Break in just a couple weeks, everybody.
Sweet.
So, all right. Well, that's that. And go ahead and say goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Professor Chris G telling all of you we will see you again next week for another Slammin' episode. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Next question.
Just how long is this quiz supposed to go on?
Sorry, buddy.